we are seeing households that are fronting up to rental, open houses that are having to compete with, dozens, up to, 100 other households. We are seeing households that are, having to face homelessness because there is nothing available for them. And for households who are renting and facing rent increases, we're seeing households making some very difficult decisions about paying increased rents but having to forego other essentials such as food or utilities or fuel.
So how important is it that something substantial be done to address this?
It's critical. We are seeing rental affordability, the worst that we've seen at some time. A colleague of mine today, said it was probably the worst since the Great Depression. Housing is critical infrastructure. It's, where you make a home, it's important for communities and the economy. So the more that we are able to ensure that people have housing affordability and security means that they're able to focus on other areas of their life and enhance the economic productivity of the country.
So interest rates are going up, homeowners are having to pay more to service those debts. Presumably that is driving this to an extent. What are the principal drivers of this?
So I think when it comes to, what's happening in the rental market, coming out of, through the pandemic, we have incredibly low vacancy rates. So nationally they're 0.9%, but in, other regions we're looking at functionally zero rates of, 0.1%. So we don't have a healthy rental market and, so there are issues of housing supply. We have considerable demand. And I think the pressure that's now being created by people that are in mortgage stress, is just going to add to that.
So what are some short-term solutions to this? Because as you outlined, there is need for some urgent action as well as long-term. We'll look at that in a moment. But what are some short-term measures that could be taken to help people in this predicament?
Yeah, so I mean, an immediate thing that government could do is increase the rates of Commonwealth rent assistance, which is, payable to people who are generally on income supports. At the moment, for almost 50% of households who receive Commonwealth rent assistance, they remain in housing stress even once they've received Commonwealth rent assistance. In the
Emma,
other
can
thing
you just give us an example of how that works, for people unfamiliar with that, how that works? If people are, for example, on job seeker or pensioners, how much do they get in rental support?
Yep, so I think the maximum rate is about $175 a fortnight. So if you're thinking about how much rents increase, that rent assistance doesn't go very far when your rent is possibly increasing, $100 a week and sometimes, even more. So we haven't seen, a considerable increase to rent assistance for some time. So we've been calling for an increase to rent assistance of, at least 50% to assist low-income households achieve greater levels of affordability.
And what are some other short-term measures that could be taken?
So I think for a number of state governments, we could be, state governments could easily be looking at, their rental reforms. So in terms of, capping rent increases, putting a cap on how much rent is able to be increased, and making it much more, realistic, and also, reducing or removing no grounds evictions so that, housing security is enhanced for renters.
Okay, and what about some long-term solutions?
Yep, what we would really like to see, so the Commonwealth Government has made a great start in the investment in social and affordable housing through the Housing Australia Future Fund. What we would really like to see is that is ramped up, to a sustained and enhanced investment over time, where there is the delivery of 25,000 social and affordable homes to meet unmet needs, so that those who are on, very low incomes are not having to rely on the private rental market.